things to talk about.
I was gonna say, oh wait,
my God.
take your bras off. Oh,
No. I was like, I hope to God it is not picking this up with the microphone, because what the, oh my fucking God.
Also, I gotta run soon because I've got a 5:30 class at the gym, and I was like, we're gonna be done by 5, right? So I'm gonna stay like 2 minutes, but then I gotta leave the party because I got goals.
Oh, girl,
you got weightlifting day, so.
Girl, I respect that. I've been trying very hard to boundary time with my husband. So when I say we got to be done, I got to be done. Otherwise, I will be a single woman in a very short amount of time.
I'm like laughing because what you guys don't see is my candles and my bath salts are curing behind my computer right now, because right after I get off this, I have orders to box.
I love it. I love it. Okay. The one question that I'm dying to ask though, Laura, and I think Casey, you will appreciate that. And then you want to go. Laura, I want to know, what was the impact on you when your Bari friends ghosted you? Like, what impact has ghosting had on you, like as a person and a patient?
That's a good question, because I don't even know how to answer it, because I worked in the bariatric community. And so like, it was my job, you know what I mean? And I lived, died and breathed it. Like, I loved it. It was my dream job. Like, I can't even tell you how long I had to find that job. And so I was at every conference and every trade show and I was at Obesity Week at ASMBS, like I was all, and so I didn't feel it at first because they had lives, right? Like it was my all everything. And so like, I'm thinking of specific friends of mine, and they like, their kids had kids. That one became a grandpa, one became, you know what I mean? And they start pulling out of the community slowly but surely. And it was like, okay, yeah, I get it, because there is life after surgery. Like, that's one of the biggest things. Like, there is so life after surgery. But then I would see them on Facebook and they'd be in the hospital, or this would be going on, or things would be, I'd be like, what's happening? Like, how are you? Or all of a sudden their Facebook has no pictures of them. You know, it's like, where are you? Like, what's happening? I'm fine. I'm fine. And I mean, I've had a couple of friends in the community that literally would tell me everything's great, everything's fine, this, that, and that, and that. And then somebody would see them and they'd be like, oh my God, they gained 200 pounds. They're right back. Yeah. Like, heart-wrenching, right? Mm-hmm. And I think I got a label by a lot of them because I was still drinking the Kool-Aid. You know what I mean? Because it was my way of life. Like, it was my whole life. It was my whole life. Yeah. I mean, I lived, died, and breathed it. Like, I couldn't get enough. Like, I would go home and work on projects because I was a creative director and I built everything. Like, I did it all. And I was like poster child kid, you know what I mean? And like, I took a brand that had a bunch of bottles and I built stories. Like, I've sat with the president of the ASMBS and told him, you need to make labels for every vitamin bottle out there, almost like the organic seal. It meets the guidelines. Like, vitamin companies, like, they didn't used to meet guidelines. Like, I used to terrorize our competitors because I knew better. And I'm like, stop selling this shit to us when it doesn't have guideline. Like, yeah. I was crazy, girl. So it's a good question, because I stayed in it for so long, because I also, and I should have said this, but I committed the day after I had surgery. I came home and said, I spent all that time on obesity help in the chat rooms, quiet, researching, terrified. And the day I came home from surgery, I wanted to become the person I couldn't find. I wanted to be the loud, mouthy one. I wanted to be the one that told the real stories. I wanted to be the one that, like, I wanted this whole different chapter, because I couldn't find, because weight loss surgery is the dirty secret. Half the people didn't tell people, or they weren't on Facebook, or it wasn't public knowledge. And I'm like, I don't want to be ashamed of the fact that I did something for myself. And so from day one, I did not tell. I will tell you this. I didn't tell my brother. I told my parents the week before I had it, because I didn't want to hear their opinions. Like, I didn't want to, because it was scary back then. You know what I mean? And so
scary.
I didn't talk about it for a long time. And people are like, oh my God, how are you losing? And if the rule was, if somebody asked me, I will never lie. But so to say what happened when people ghosted me, like, I didn't feel like I got ghosted because I stayed in the community and I always felt like I was always working. And so it took a while before I noticed, like, where is everybody?
Yeah, that for some reason that popped into my head when you'd said that, and I was like, oh, I wonder what that must have felt like for you, though, to all of a sudden look around and go, where are my people? Like, to just kind of.
But I never didn't have people. So that's where, if I didn't work in the industry and my people fell out, I probably would have fallen out and regained and whatever. But I had always new people because I was teaching. I was always teaching vitamin education, leading support groups. I opened a bariatric store in Cleveland across the street from the Cleveland Clinic. Like, I always had newbies, you know what I mean? Like, or people far out that had vitamin deficiencies. Like, so, I mean, I would be at conferences teaching vitamin workshops and, you know, so for me, like, I always had community. And so
Yeah.
the last 2 years has about killed me. Like, I mean, I have a whole nother chapter story, but but I miss my people. I miss
Bye,
my
Casey. Thank you.
people. And I miss the fact that in BariNation, and that's a whole, I'm not going to go off on this, but it's what I want to talk to you about, because it's like, there are people out there and they need a home.
Oh, yeah.
There are more out there that need a home than there are the ones that are like jumping up and down in BariNation. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep. No, I know. And that's what breaks my heart too, because I know how meaningful it's been for me and so many other people. And I just want everybody to know that it exists. Like, it just breaks my heart when you see so many people struggling alone, in silence or in fear or out of shame. Right. I mean, I just want to reach out to them and be like, you don't have to do this.
right.
It's not designed to be done this way, but obesity is such an isolating disease on its own. And then you think that the answer to that is to continue to isolate as soon as the first thing goes wrong. And it's like, it's not. The answer is community. The answer to this is community, but we've been so ingrained that it's not, and I have to be isolated, and I'm just such a horrible person. I mean, it's just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like,
And
how do you?
I started hiding from my Instagram. I stopped taking full body pictures. I only took really angled photos with the baby. And I really did a lot of work to try to hide from people how big I'd gotten, because I felt that the excuse of my pregnancy and postpartum was quickly fading. And, you know, the expectation is I needed to bounce back. And now how much of that was my own perception and how much of that is actual fact is really up for debate. It's probably mostly inside, but it did feel the downside of social media was so many of my friends barely gained with babies and then bounced right back. And I was not doing that.
But there's a lot of factors like, and this is where I just get like, there's so many factors. Like, there's so many factors. There's age. There's just so many factors that, like, and if people look at the statistics that the surgeons give us of what % of the weight you're going to regain, and it's normal, and you're considered a success in a bariatric, and nobody wants to hear it because they all want to be that lowest weight they ever saw. I can do it. I'm committed. And I immediately will label myself a failure if I can't be 189.
I lost followers when I hit my low weight and announced I hit 130 at 5'5", and I was getting, now mind you, I also found out later I'm carrying about 20 pounds of excess skin on my body, so that clouds a lot of the look. I was getting dressed one morning, went to put my hair up, and I saw my rib cage and clavicle so clearly it freaked me out. And I realized, I looked at my husband and said, have I gone too far? And he goes, oh, thank God, baby. Yeah, you went too far a little bit ago. I just didn't know what to say. And when I was public about that and said I was regaining to 140, 150, where I ended up in maintenance and happy, I lost followers. I got comments saying, oh, you shouldn't regain on purpose. You're going to lose control. Oh, but you look so good now. What none of them understood is I had cycled too far and I was restricting, and I didn't need encouragement. And again, now I see other people talk about that, and I am the first one to privately message them and said, I did the same thing. Don't look at my pictures now, but I did the same thing. Good for you for recognizing it. Stop applauding it when we go too far.
Yeah. Well,
it's not a game of how small. It's just not. It's not what the surgery is built for. You are malnourished. Like gastric bypass, you are malnourished. You are like Ethiopian children. Like, that's what I say. Like, we are malnourished. You cannot feed your body. Your body is starving for nutrients. Like, that is not the life you want.
I was told over and over by people in the community, and even recommendations, to exercise like crazy from the minute I had my surgery. I will tell you, because I've had many, many trainers and experiences, that I knew my body well enough to know to be very careful with it, because I've hurt myself too many times hitting it at the gym because I was going to do it that time, and then hurting myself because at 400 pounds, I shouldn't have been doing that. I literally had a trainer that our first 6 months, we pretty much just stood up and sat down and walked back and forth. Mm-hmm. She helped me lose my first 100 pounds. So, we'll go, but
that's because your trainer cared about your joints. Like your trainer, was looking at your body as is and not saying, let's go out here and do a workout I did with my 150-pound girl that was here before.
He had RNY 3 years before I met her. So that's where nobody had told her. So when I see it in the community, though, that these people get off the surgery table and they go run 5 miles a day, and then they wonder why they burn out and get injuries, or they wonder why they hit low weight and they're exercising 7 days a week and only eating 1,000 calories and they're miserable. Well, guys, that phase got to end eventually.
Yeah. Well, what you talked about, Laura, was exactly where I got. It was like, okay, I've seen a low weight. I really want to be at that low weight, but what am I going to have to do to maintain it? Mm-hmm. And it was like, ooh, is that price worth it? Right? Like, there's a cost to that. Am I willing to pay that? And that was where I really got to this point of like, okay, what is going to be my happy, healthy weight? Like, what is the weight that I'm excited to work to maintain?
Yep. That you can maintain. You can easily maintain and have a lifestyle that you love. I always say, you can create the life you dream of. You can't. It might take you longer to get there. Like, I had this conversation in the group that I run the other day, and I said, I've been on this regain, take it off, and it's been brutal. Like, I spent 5 weeks at the same number, and I'm on the Peloton and I'm doing the things, and I'm doing everything that is right. What I'm not doing is the extra workout at night that burns 1,000 calories. What I'm not doing, and it's like, I have too many things on my plate right now. Like, I have older parents, like I have things that are more important, the time I'm spending with my parents and the things that I'm doing. And you know what? Like I always say, I don't even like to say it's a marathon, because it's longer than a marathon. It's the rest of our lives. So it's like, I'm going to take this 35 pounds off. It'd probably take me all year, but I'm going to do 30 minutes a day. Like, I'm not going to get the 30 pounds off by June, because I can't keep it off that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and especially when my lens and the lens that I always encourage, and we encourage people to look at this through, is, are you metabolically well? Right. Sure, you might weigh something that maybe you didn't think would be your, maintenance weight, but are you metabolically well? Like, wasn't that actually the goal, to be well?
I'm like, your blood panel's good. Are your
exactly
good? Are your joints good? Are, it broke my heart.
Teeth healthy.
Right. In that one, you kind of got, like, there's some you just got to chalk up, because it's like, calcium's going to do what it's going to do. You can't rebuild calcium in your bones. When it's gone, it's gone, So how do I today take control, maintain what I got, and manage my health, and it's just, it's a very, very long game. And not only that, but it's your body composition. I carry my weight in my butt and my thighs night and day. I got clavicle bones for days up here. Like, it's the way I'm built. I'm built like my dad. I've never had plastics. I will. So when you say you were carrying around 15 pounds of skin, I know that game. You know what I mean? Everybody's body is going to react differently, and you're going to live differently, and it's going to look differently. So we need to stop. And this is a personal thing with the 80,000 trillion filters 24/7. Like, that's why I do really ugly Instagram stories with really bad hair and zero makeup, or I'll come on with big curled hair and makeup, because those are all me. They all live here.
Well, and I found it's a range. So I'm always surprised by how many people surge and give them really low numbers. When I talked to mine, he first did not want to give me one. That was his first thing, is, I don't need to give you one. I said, just medically speaking, what would you like to see? And he goes, with your height, he goes, 150 to 175. Anything around 175, I would consider you, medically speaking, clear of any major issues for your weight. And when I told him 130, he laughed at me and told me that was not healthy. And I damn well got to 130 because I'm a numbers girl. And darn it, he was right. He was so right. And I found that for me, my lifestyle, I found that when I allowed myself a range, so what I did is I got a pair of pants, and I got a size bigger and a size smaller. And if I dropped into the size smaller pants, I needed to eat more and pay attention. If I dropped to the size bigger pants, I needed to pay attention to what I was eating. And I did that for a long time and only checked the scale every like 2 months. And I did that for over a year. And that was great. It was really freeing. My fallout came after the baby, between the breastfeeding, the mental health, and the medication. And I also wasn't aware of how much prompting and hormonally I would want to eat breastfeeding, even though I was failing to produce enough. The hormones didn't catch up to that memo. And again, it feels really isolating and lonely when you're sitting here doing all the right things and everyone's telling you, well, you must not be. And what they're not recognizing is there's a lot going on.
Yep.
Yeah, it's hard. It is so hard to know what everybody's right thing is, because it's exactly like what you said. It is really, truly individualized. There are some big things, vitamins, water, protein. Okay, great. But there's 100 other things that are just as important to me, but it's not going to be to you or to you.
Yep.
I love the gym. I find it is very good for my mental health. But before the baby, I was exercising every day in some capacity or the other because I liked it and I have a big dog. And now I find that I have to make very dedicated time to work out. I need to make it efficient. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, and do it. And now for me, my happy spot is 3 times a week. And at first I compared myself. Why am I not going 6 days a week? Why am I not going like that big Instagram influencer who's already lost all her baby weight and is hitting new personal lift records? Why am I not like her? And I realized because my job and my happiness is not in filming 50 hours a week at the gym. And if it was, good for you, but I want my happy weight back. I want my health back, and I will get there. But I also am not willing to necessarily do what I did the first time because now I have a family.
Yep. Well, trust, it goes. Yep. Exactly. It goes back to that. I got to learn to trust myself. I learned, I got to, yeah. And I think it's something we have to give ourselves permission for, because for so long we didn't trust ourselves because we weren't listening to ourselves. We were taking in all that we were being told about our disease, right? So it's an unpacking process. But if we can get to the point where we can trust ourselves, we can answer our own questions, we can find stillness, answer our own questions, trust that it's the truth.
Yeah, people thought I was crazy when I was in maintenance and tell them that I did the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, I ate like I was supposed to. So 5-6 days out of the week, I really mostly just ate like my bariatric surgeon told me to, made sure to get my protein. And that day a week that I didn't, oh, well. And people looked at me like I was crazy, but it's also I was in maintenance with enough muscle mass and free time to move that 80-20 rule was great. And I never had to worry too much about losing control until, again, you get further down the line. The voice comes back, the restriction settles like it's supposed to, everyone. If you're hearing this, your stomach settles like you're supposed to. Stop trying to re-restrict it.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that. I don't know about anybody else. With the R and Y, you guys don't hear that maybe as much as the pouch resets and the...
No. Don't get me started on pouch resets. Yeah.
Everyone confused my mental reset. When I hit 230, I looked in the mirror and I wrote a 15-week plan out for myself. And it wasn't necessarily diet. It actually had a lot to do with meditate, drink my water, journal. And everyone heard that. I was talking about a mental reset. I spent 15 weeks mocking the stages and really mentally resetting myself and reminding myself that this was important to me. And I got nothing but messages saying, oh, I'm so happy. How's you lost 20 pounds on your pouch reset. Didn't do a pouch reset.
Yeah.
I ate my protein, drank my water, and moved my ass.
Yeah.
That's what I did. If I had a magic recipe, I'd sell it to you. So then we can both.
Yeah. Don't exist. It doesn't exist. It's called the work of weight loss surgery. And it's different for everyone.
Or if I see one more person, stop taking pills, guys. You had the sleep. Like, we don't diet pills, detox pills. We all poop just fine. Or maybe not. Maybe they help for that.
Oh, dude. I ride or die by Just Better Fiber. As soon as I stop taking that, oof.
I'm the unicorn. No heartburn, no poop problems.
Oh yeah, you are the unicorn.
I'm the unicorn VSG.
Mm-hmm.
But I also didn't have any problems before VSG either. So I could be just one of the outliers that got lucky on that one. But I always kind of joke at that one when everyone's like, fiber this and laxatives that. And I'm like,
oh, dude, it's my ride or die. I like take it with me in little baggies if I'm out of my travel things.
No, mine's protein shakes. In my purse, my friends make fun of me. You will always find single Premier protein shake. It's always there just in case I need it. Right.
That's how you know. Tell me you're a bariatric patient without telling me. All right, ladies, I got to get going. This has been amazing. Thank you so very much. I just appreciate you guys so much for being so willing to to share your story.
Well, I mean, anytime you want to tap me to talk, if you haven't noticed, I may be very so
Awesome.
invite me anytime.
Awesome. I love it.